Good morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray, and welcome to the Scotty Ray Report. This keeps up. We may have to start going longer than 30 minutes. There is so much to talk about this morning. How's everyone? Charlie and Gaddy already up this morning having her some coffee. Glad to see you there. Get that up a little closer there where you can hear everything. Now, as you start your day, keep in mind there is a lot of fog in the area. We want you to get where you're going safely. Let's look at radar as you start that day just to get a good understanding of just how bad it is. All of this gray area that you see here on radar stretching from Jackson all the way to Columbus, Georgia, down New Orleans is a fog advisory. Now, as we go into radar this morning, it is thick as we go into Clark County this morning and we turn on locations here. After you get on Highway 45, all of this area right past Mathis Peaches. Now, it's going to be fog up here too, but not quite as thick as it is here over to the Dollar General. But it even gets thicker now right as you go past where Clarko State Park is and you follow 45. All of these exits to Quitman, Cooper's Chapel, look how thick that is. Where the landfill is, Jay's Taxidermy, all the way out here to Shiloh. This is thick as it comes. 2-lane roads in there, so y'all be careful anywhere near Clark County. And it's still, again, fog everywhere. But that is our thickest close. Also with the Mississippi River Bridge, you might not be able to see it too good. Along that Florida coastline as well. So that's a sample of what is out there. Right now, 55 degrees. Now, it's going to reach 78. The forecast yesterday, if you paid close attention to it, really didn't add up. It changed about 3 to 4 times during that 5 to 7 a.m. hour. And one point it was going to be 68, then it was going to be 64, then it was changed to, well, it's going to drop. Yeah, it stayed hot all day, didn't it? It was. And today, another one of those, 78. So keep in mind with what you do. A lot has gone on in the area overnight. I got the first text of, hey, something's going on in Meridian. And then I got the video, if you haven't had a chance to watch this, from the 3-foot building. And let's flip over and take a look at this. There was a huge fire in Meridian last night. This is a view from the 3-foot building. As you'll look here west from Meridian, you see that in the background right there? That is a huge home fire.
Oh my
that
God.
was an abandoned home. It ends up, what a view that is from the 3-foot building. As you can see, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. A lot of the Meridian Fire Department arrived on scene. They took care of things. Again, it was an abandoned home. This was located just off of 8th Street. You know where the cemetery is, Rose Hill Cemetery. Right behind it there is where the fire was, an abandoned home. No one was hurt. The firefighters fought this for several hours to contain it. As you can see just how big that was. It was huge. Big thank you to the fire department jumping out and taking care of that. You can also go on our webpage and take a look at what the home looked like before the fire. Something to see, but they did a great job of putting that out. As we start looking around at other things that are going on this morning, well, you remember the bolo that we put out yesterday morning that the Meridian Police Department was looking for someone named Robin Brown. Here he is here. Let's go to the webpage and take a look at this. That's him. Now, what did he do? Yesterday morning early, he went to the emergency room and dropped a woman off, and what he had done was stabbed her multiple times in the neck and head. My understanding is that she was in pretty bad shape. Happened right around 5 a.m. yesterday morning. She's going to make it, but in pretty rough shape after that being done to her. But he has been arrested. And again, you can read these stories and more at sammedia.network. Go there. They're all there this morning. Let's see what else is going on that we posted yesterday that was happening in Meridian. Also, a murder arrest happened yesterday. Did y'all read about this? Everyone deserves justice for wrongdoing. And as we go to this, they have arrested Tina Darling. Let's pull up her picture. Here's Tina here. She appears in court, and she has been charged with murder. As we go down and look at this, this goes back to October 12th of 21, when officers responded around 4 a.m., and they found Carl Richardson on the side of the road with a gunshot wound to the head. She is responsible. We don't know what the argument or how it came about, but she has been arrested for that murder. Pretty serious charge there. She'll stand trial. And, of course, as always, you are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But serious charge. Most likely the police department has good standing as to the arrest. So that was two big events that happened yesterday with the police taking down some bad guys yesterday that needed to be handled there. We don't need that on the streets. As we go to our next story, this is happening today. So you've gotten a parking ticket. We got to pay it. Well, they're taking care of that in Meridian today. It's Amnesty Day. It's one day only, and it will last from 8 until 5 today in the courtroom at the Meridian Police Department. You can find that on 22nd Avenue. It's a chance to resolve any issues such as fines, delinquent payments, contempt warrants. It is meant to target and benefit those people who have failed to appear in court. It's not a trick. They want to help work out a payment plan and not it become something else. So it's Amnesty Day. If you've got a fine, they'd like to see you today. Just head on down to the Meridian Police Department. Again, they say it's not a trick. They're not going to get you there and arrest you when you walk in. Amnesty. They mean it. Drop in and visit with them and see what they've got to say. I got several texts yesterday afternoon. Was anybody traveling Highway 19 North yesterday afternoon? Well, all of a sudden, you're sitting there and a bunch of cop cars passed you. Well, there was a reason for that. Sheriff Eric Clark and his gang were taking down some drug dealers. And it happened in Hazelhurst, Mississippi yesterday afternoon. As we go back to the webpage once again, as we look at the story here, it was a drug deal going down, and the Neshoba County Sheriff's Department disrupted the big transaction of this. It was right there in the House community late yesterday afternoon. As deputies went in, it was two people in cars, and they spread and went opposite directions. The chase lasted 4 to 5 miles. Several deputies were involved in the operation of taking them down. Both drug offenders were arrested. 2 different traffic stops, as I mentioned. One was there on Highway 19, and it did disrupt traffic for just a little bit to allow deputies to gain control of that situation. 2 arrests were made, and we'll get the names of those this morning, as we'll get their booking information from Sheriff Eric Clark as to what all went on and who they were. They don't want you dealing drugs in Hazelhurst, Mississippi. I think the community feels that way. A big support there for police stopping that. From what I hear, that happens a lot. Most likely, let's go ahead and call it what it is, meth. That is one of the biggest things that happen in our area there. Drugs, marijuana, people are tired of it. And the Sheriff's Department trying to put an end to all of that. So good job to the Neshoba County Sheriff's Department. Louisville, Mississippi, we have a lot of people that watch us from the Louisville area, whether it's live or they come back and watch this show later. Have you heard about what's going on there? Counterfeit money. So if you're in the area of Louisville, make sure to watch your pocket, and I'll describe what it all has. Here's a picture of it. Let's look at this from. Let's go to the Louisville Police Department Facebook page. Here we are. Look at all this money. $7,000 has been taken off the streets so far. We're not sure how much more money is out there. They have made an arrest in this, and as they try to stop this. Now, let's go to another Facebook page, and let's go. This is Greg's Quick Stop, if I'm not mistaken. Here, let me turn this off. Yeah, Greg's Food Mart in Louisville. As we pull this up this morning, this is footage from their business of a gentleman walking in with one of these. As you'll look at that, he's sliding the money across the counter. She hands him the smokes of what he's trying to buy, and just about that time she notices what it is. Comes to pretty much a halt. An arrest was made. He had a pocket full. And if you'll look at this, of what this is saying, the money states on it, motion picture money, and it also says copy money written on it. It looks pretty authentic until you start reading the exact wording on these bills. Again, this is the Louisville area, so if you get money or sell something, look at those bills. You don't want to be stuck with counterfeit money. She checked it out and caught it. Not everybody does that. There's a reason that people stare at that. Sometimes innocent people get taken out of their money because of people like this up to no good. So good job to the Louisville Police Department getting some arrest on that all over the place there. Even some fake money orders involved in all of this also. As we look at some other things that are going on, McGee, Mississippi. Y'all familiar with McGee? Got to an argument there with the mayor and the police department where 7 police officers from the police department walked off the job. The mayor says, you're not doing enough patrolling. I can show you that there's no tickets written. The police were saying they wanted more gun control. Police chief and several others quit. We'll see what happens as they try to put it all back together in McGee. It's a mess there. What does that mean? Well, criminals normally pay attention to what's going on. Lack of police force, they'll be thicker. You know how that goes, how they move in when they know that there's not enough people around to stop bad guys. As we look at the second case of this in the state of Mississippi this morning, a second child has died from the flu in the state of Mississippi. We pass along condolences to the family of this. Horrible, horrible. They do not list where it is because it's an underage. This comes from the Mississippi Health Department. They do not list exactly where and who, but second case of this since December that someone has passed away from the flu. We've almost forgotten what the flu is, but it's just as dangerous as anything else that is out there. Let's see here. Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm going to not talk about a shooting at this point, but people that steal. TV station in Jackson, which is WAPT. They also own several other stations. Had transformers at their tower site. Two men thought, wow, I'd love to have that, and backed up with a trailer and took it. They just happened to have camera footage there. Got pictures of them in their little school bus and trailer that they had, and they were arrested a short time later. They'll go to jail for a time anyway. But thing weighed 4,000 pounds, loaded it up in the middle of the night. Tells me you got to have a winch to load something like that. The criminals just really work hard at night. Pay attention. If you don't have cameras at your home, see about investing in that, because it really is a great investment to see what happens when you're asleep. Protect everything you got. Let's see. Hazelhurst, Mississippi. This just gets worse and worse. As Meridian has crime, Jackson has crime. Every town, including Hazelhurst, Mississippi, as we have to report to you this morning that a 14-year-old was found dead in the street on Maple Street. No arrest has been made, but a 14-year-old killed. Left for dead in the middle of the street in Mississippi. How sad that is. All right, as we go back to Macomb, do you remember us talking about the 6-year-old boy that was killed earlier this week, where he was gunned down in a drive-by shooting? It was 4 teenagers, 17, 18, and I think up to 19 years of age. Yeah, one of those was out on bail from a previous September drive-by shooting that he was arrested for. Are our laws strict enough? Apparently not. He went on to get out and go kill someone else. Horrifying. 6 years old by somebody that does not respect life. Right here, these stories that we do here at 6:30 are all about what happens around us here in the state of Mississippi and Alabama. Sad, sad, sad. We also go to Pike County, Mississippi next for our next story. This brings a tear to a glass eye. A 2-year-old killed by blunt force. The mother and boyfriend have been arrested. It's not revealed as to what the blunt force was at this point as the investigation goes on. How sad is that? Those stories are just awful. As we switch to Jackson, they're saying that there is a justifiable homicide. I hadn't heard that word since I listened to Mark Chestnut's Bubba Shot the Jukebox. Well, it happened in Jackson where a man was lured to an apartment complex by text by his old girlfriend to come visit him. Well, it just turned out to be her new boyfriend. Pulled a gun on him. There was an argument. Well, it was a shooting. And police are agreeing that the investigation will go on, but at this point, it looks like he had no choice but to defend himself. He planned on hurting him. That's pretty trickery, isn't it? But that happened in Jackson, Mississippi. Watch those old love affairs is all I can say about that. As we look at our next story, boy, this is getting deep. Shad White really stays busy if you have not paid attention to what's going on. Another arrest has been made as the office. They are just busy on this. A former employee of Scott County. And let's take a look at this. Let's pull this up where you can see this. Here he is. He's been convicted of embezzlement. Shad White and his team of investigators announced that Tony Macon, a former employee there of Scott County, has been arrested for embezzlement. The case was prosecuted by the DA. $50,000 worth of taxpayers' money from Scott County. Been using that Fuel Man card. They stay busy at that state auditor's office. They don't take a whole lot of anything from anybody. They are busy making sure that your tax dollars are not wasted and abused across the state of Mississippi. Let's see here what else we've got going on across the state. We've already talked about that. The next thing you know, and we all know that prison is not a good place. and I'm going to say the name of this wrong, but I always refer back whenever it's just a trigger in my head. Anybody ever watched the movie Shemshock Redemption? And I know I'm saying it wrong. Morgan Freeman, you know the movie? Well, they've investigated this, Hinds County. This is in Jackson, Mississippi. They're saying that, well, the gangs are running the prison. Now, I think we all kind of knew that to begin with, but this one has just gotten to a shameful point. As we read deeper into this story, it's the lack of people to run the prison, and they're at the brink of the federal government taking over the prison. It might not be a bad idea. They don't have enough officers. At this point, they roll the food out and let inmates disperse it to other inmates. Guess what's happening? Only the people they like get fed. Imagine that. Gangs controlling and letting eat. They have people that are starving, losing weight. That can't go on. Hinds County, that is a mess. Now, if you go to prison, you're serving your time and you do your thing that you owe society and get out. But you shouldn't be mistreated like that in prison. We have to be a humane country, and letting gangs run our prison is not the answer. I think most would agree with that. Shawshank. Thank you for saying it. I could never word that correctly, but what a great movie that is. And it really kind of shows what goes on in prison out there. We learned overnight on the national level that shots have been fired and Russia has invaded. What's going to happen, we don't know, but I do know this. It could be a mess before long. As they've said that, watch out, most likely Russia will try to attack banks. Do you remember a few months ago when the pipelines were hacked? Hackers broke into gas lines and prices soared. Expect more of that. He even put this out. He's warning the West, and that would be us, to anyone who would consider interfering from the outside. If you do, you will face consequences greater than any you have faced in history, is what he just said to the United States. I don't know if anybody's checked. We have someone sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue that, well, might not know what that means. Worries me. I hope it does you as well. Now, we've got a lot of stories that are going to be coming up this morning at 8 o'clock. Deeper, nationally, locally. We'll discuss all this, and we always want your portrayal of what's going on. We like to hear your comments. Don't go anywhere. We got some weather coming up next, so you'll know exactly what to expect today. A few of the headlines that are around the area right now. What's your thoughts? We also love to hear from you every single day. We appreciate that. More coming up next as we'll check your weather. Rock House Gun and Pawn is open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Lots of different calibers and brands to choose from when it comes to hunting rifles. Whether you're looking for a new pump shotgun or an AR, the Rock House will have the gun that you need, with a huge selection of ammunition for just about any caliber that you may be looking for. Pistols, scopes, and a whole lot more. Plus a private lobby for your confidentiality when it comes to your pawns. Rock House Gun and Pawn, located at 5430 Highway 19 North Meridian. The back porch of Meridian is now open on Highway 19. Anything outdoors. Grills, fryers, pellets. And all grills come with free assembly. Whether you're looking for a cooler or custom woodwork. Plus local beef, milk and ice cream from Beeson, products from Cyples Mills, spices, and a whole lot more. And don't forget to check out the She Shed, where you'll find authentic Louis Vuitton purses and more. And we can't leave out the spoon fudge. The back porch, Highway 19 North Meridian. Yeah, I've been practicing Shawshank. That's a tongue twister for me. Look up that building. They were going to destroy that before that movie was made, and it made it so popular that it's a tourist attraction now. Interesting. All right, as we go to the weather this morning.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
As I said, currently we're sitting at 55 as we wait for a high of 78 later today. What's happening on this date? Well, as we go back, 2018, it was a warm 84. We're not going to miss that by much today. 1989, I think I was about 18 years old or so along in there. It was 18 degrees on this date. Woo, okay, maybe I was a little older. Whoops, I wasn't adding correctly. As we look at the forecast for today, there is fog everywhere today. But it will be clearing. There's a slight chance of rain really early, only a 20% chance. But all that will be clearing out. And we go to that 78 degrees here. A little cooler in the Philadelphia area, 72-ish up toward Louisville and those areas. Down south of here, they'll hit 80 there. And Hattiesburg over to Natchez, cooler, 68 on that western side. But boy, look at Meridian, McGee. Warm, 78 to 80 degrees there. Let's move across to east from here, and we go to Tuscaloosa to see that it's going to be 76. We'll hit 77 right there in Livingston, Alabama, and up through Geiger in those areas. Troy, Alabama, to the south, we'll see about 80 as it is toward the Mississippi Gulf Coast as well. As we look at what's happening today with the fog, as you'll see that this is that area there that we showed you when we first went on. And we'll go back to radar in a minute and take a deeper look at what's happening right now. Visibility in areas could be a quarter mile or less, especially here in Clark County right now, as it is thick, thick, thick. All this goes over to the Jackson area and then goes east toward Tuscaloosa as well. So be careful if you're driving anywhere today. Accidents always happen with fog. We don't want that to happen to you. And as you can see, it's warm. That outlook for the next 6 to 10 days, it's not going away. It's hot. Look at that. Whew. Don't like it. Now let's get into our breakdown of what's happening today with this forecast as we find out, as we said, 78 for a high. We'll get down to 47 tonight. We've got areas of fog, and all that should burn off by about 10 o'clock this morning. Slight chance of showers, and not really going to happen, but it's that slight chance. You'll get more from the fog on your windshield than anything else. Cloudy with gusts of about 20 miles an hour today. So we'll have that breeze blowing and whipping at 78 degrees. By tonight, rain comes back. 80% chance, most likely after midnight. So this puts it through those overnight hours into Friday morning. And you'll wake up to a 30% chance of showers tomorrow morning. That should end by lunch. We'll get to a high of only 56 tomorrow. Look at the difference in between today. 78, 56 tomorrow, and head into the 50s for the weekend. Saturday, not so bad. Cloudy, no mentions of rain with a high of 54. Saturday night, well, we get a 40% chance. So rain on Sunday as we look to be 50% according to my radar. When we get into the National Weather Service, they give it an extra 10%. But that should be before noon and then making way for a pretty good afternoon after church. So not bad. We've got Saturday that shouldn't rain on us at all. And then after we get out of church, you'll be able to do a few things around the house as well. We'll kick off Monday with a ever slight chance of rain there with only a 10% chance. That's not much, is it? No, it's not. We go back into the 60s. And by Wednesday, look at that. Midweek, 68. Let's go ahead and look further. And boy, the heat wave returns in March. All of that comes as we look at how storms develop when we're always into these areas in March with tornadic activity. That's just kind of scary getting into that 79, 76 areas there. We'll watch all of this and make sure everything's okay. But 75 next Friday, a week from today, 80 next Saturday. Wow. So outlooks as we forecast for a few days that's happening there. But again, today, not too bad. And the weekend will be pretty good. Into the 50s, you won't get too hot. You'll be able to do a few things. Anybody ready for summertime, or do you feel that we haven't had enough winter yet? It's a divider line of what people think of that, of how much they like winter and going on into summer. Let's go back to radar now so you're fully aware of what's happening this morning as we pull radar back up so you can take a quick glance at what we've got here. Again, down here in Tallahassee, look at all of this. Columbus, Georgia, Macon, the Carolinas are full of fog this morning. And we come back in closer to home as we now see that the Meridian area has got it thick. Well, if you're out by the airport, let's turn on location so you can see this of just how bad the fog is this morning. This is going to cut across from out at Rodney's at Wyandotte Motor Sports Park and follow Highway 19 all the way into Meridian. Once you get out near Meridian Community College there at 8th Street, look how thick it is. Up Highway 19 hasn't quite got so thick to the Piggly Wiggly, but all around Owls and there at the Walmart area, look how thick. And we go south into Clark County. Now, once you get past Mathis, look how thick this is going to get. This has gone up a level since we were last there in Clark County. Enterprise, it's thick, even thicker now as you get toward Quitman. This area here, this is going to be east, right there, east of Pachuta. When you come across right here and you get to about Pleasant Hill Baptist there on Highway 512, all the way into downtown Quitman. Look at the co-op. This is going to stretch all the way over here. Look how thick this is. Y'all know this. Down past Jay's Taxidermy, down toward DeSoto, Carmichael, it's thick. But we got thicker stuff sitting right there in Shiloh and Manassas. So be careful if you're in these areas. And as we look down, still thick there at Shibuda as well. And a little bit into Wayne County, Gilbertown, Alabama, Highway 17. Y'all be careful through there. You cannot be too careful with all of this fog as you go about this morning. Save a life, drive slower, and leave home early. Allow yourself. Be careful on anywhere. And I always use Highway 19 as an example of trying to cut across a 4-lane highway and get to that middle part to turn. Don't just run out there, and whatever you do, those people that want to pull up beside you when you're waiting to go across and block your view where you can't see as well. Y'all know that person that does that think they got to get there before everybody else. Don't do that. It's not worth someone's life. Now, that's a quick look at the forecast this morning and all that we've got going on. A few other things that I wanted to mention that have happened overnight. Let me see here. Let me pull up my notes here that I've got. Let's see. We did have a wreck last night, I-20. I was over by the Pilot. They got it all cleaned up now, but that did happen. There was 2 cars. Probably fog played a little bit into that. Also, in the Zero area, there was a wreck last night. Single car, took out a guide wire. They got all of that straightened out. The roads are clear now. And also, I bring this up. Always be careful when you're trying to be nice. Someone did that last night, gave someone a ride, and when they went to get out, do you know what they done? Grabbed their laptop and ran right out of the car, being nice to someone that needed a lift to the store to get something. It's shameful, but the things happen like that. Don't let someone take advantage of you is what I'm saying there. This was in the Bonita area there. Gave them a ride down to the store and then returned the favor by stealing from them. Don't like it there. Burn bans, I will check on that, Becky. I don't know about Lauderdale. I do know that Clark County is under a burn ban. I'll check on Lauderdale before we start the next show and let y'all know. Thank y'all for watching me. I do appreciate it. We can't do it without you. Each day this grows a little bit bigger. We appreciate you sharing it and telling a friend about what we do with the headlines from around the area and letting everybody know about the weather, crime, and all of that. We'll tell you how it is each and every day. That's kind of how it works. Also, as I said, we've got Candace getting ready to come on in. She'll be here at 8 o'clock. Well, that'll be here before you know it. We're about an hour and 3 minutes away from that. So come back, enjoy yourself, get a cup of coffee, and sit around with us for about an hour. That's going to start off then. We'll see you soon, and thanks for being a part of us here at the Scotty Ray Report. We'll be back soon. Thanks for dropping by.
Scotty Ray's weather is brought to you by